Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Wade, Brent Carter, live from the South Texas TV studios.
Wow.
As we are every morning.
Gravelly voiced old bird dog.
Yeah.
You.
A little verklempt this morning.
Who would have thought I'm the guy? It's from yelling at the TV during the Master Debaters. Who would have thought that I'm the one with the golden throat in this duo?
No kidding.
Wow.
Nobody ever.
I sound like a cross between the Cookie Monster and like Kermit until my voice would get hard. Cookie. You know who I really am?
Who?
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Those are on.
Yeah, we're going to be joined by Sarah Stogner, former...
she doesn't sleep in, former candidate for railroad commissioner.
Yeah, and I asked her the other day, I said, are you dating Coach O? Can we float that rumor out there?
Because she's an LSU girl.
Why not? We'll get that out there.
Make stuff up.
Oh,
Why not?
High five from LSU.
That's what the media does.
Yeah, we'll just throw that out there. How's it? That's all I'll ask her. I'll ask her that for you folks.
But we got lots to get to, so let's get right into it. Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the fine folks at AT Deerlam Hay and Feed, where they've got liquid feed for your cattle. If you have questions, maybe you've never fed liquid feed.
Well,
they can answer all the questions that you have. They can deliver.
Not hard. You just get out there and you pour it up, and then you yell, shot, 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 shot. The cows come and drink at 75 degrees in Victoria, partly cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 100. You think it's hard? The bull says, shot, 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 shot.
No, come running.
And he knows that once they get the liquid feed, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong.
Diane Tippett, good morning. Stephanie Conti, Junior Samples. Matt Boucher is in. Bobby Leister with his Caldo hangover. Kendra Douglas, Tammy Keeling. Judge Posey, good morning. David Glass, Lisa Poole, Scott Tomko, Marvin Mickish. Michael Atkinson standing there. Let's bring Michael in because
we're not going to waste any time. We have several big hits today. One being Mike. Look, he's condensed his file down to what's the guy's name? What was the guy's name? Prozbishbugan?
Prigozhin?
Pierogi? I always think about he's from Prigozhin Springs. You know, the dude's dead. Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, he's about as dead as you can get.
Well, Ash and I talked about early on, you'll recall that this is the guy, the head of the Wagner Group, the paid henchman for Vlad Putin. When Russia wanted to do something questionable in the world's eyes,
off the
Putin
books,
paid this guy to go do it. It's kind of like the CIA, but a little, maybe once more removed.
It's called plausible deniability.
Yes, sir. So this guy would go and do these things. He decided, the media, Main Street media, was like, oh, man, Prigozhin's he's after Putin.
Well, you know what was interesting? The day before, so what was yesterday? Wednesday. Tuesday, he releases a video supposedly filmed in Africa saying that the Wagner Group is going to be back and better than ever.
Right.
And they probably will be, just under new management.
Right. They'll be under management.
That sign's been hung out there.
But
Ministry of Defense.
To wrap up the preamble, Prigozhin decides to take his guys into Moscow. And the thing is, everybody on the Main Street media side of things said, look, he's attacking Vlad Putin. He's attacking the establishment in Russia when, in fact, Mike, help me, he wasn't. He hated the defense minister and some other guy.
Right. Serovitkin and Gerasimov.
Yeah,
Gerasimov
the
was
two
the
dudes.
The two
Simon and Garfunkel. He hated them.
Gerasimov was the chief of staff, and like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff over here, and Serovitkin was the Minister of Defense.
So these are high-ranking, right underneath Putin guys that Prigozhin did not like. So he's coming in to make a statement, and then he was going to be exiled, and then Putin's. They were buddies. I mean, they were like friends.
Wow,
well, let's back up a little bit.
As friendly as you can be with Putin.
Well, let's back up. When Putin was the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg, he ate at Prigozhin's restaurant, and he did so regularly. I guess that was the Ramses of St. Petersburg. And I didn't notice it when I was there, but nevertheless, I'm sure that they exist.
The sign said Ramov.
Right. Rabalov or whatever, yeah. And so they got to be friends. And when Putin came to power, he brought Prigozhin in to... He was referred to as Putin's chef. Putin trusted him enough to make sure the food wasn't poisoned. And along the way, he got contracts to supply commissary items to the Russian military.
Can you imagine I get elected somewhere and I'd like to introduce you to my chief of staff, Lee Caballero. From now on, the White House restaurant will be called Veracruz 2. Craziness.
So through Prigozhin's connections as a commissary to the military, he becomes involved with the Wagner Group, which already existed. Yutkin, I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. He was killed in the plane crash as well. There's about 8 or 10 of them that
Was
were
it
killed.
a plane crash or a missile attack?
Okay, no, it was shot down by missile. If you look at the video of the plane coming down, it's in a flat spin. You don't go down in a flat spin with mechanical problems, okay? You don't have a flame out or something like that, or a wing breaks off.
You would glide in.
A wing breaks off. This thing was in a flat spin. It was obvious it was hit by a missile, either from a fighter plane or from anti-aircraft fire. Supposedly it was hit by 1 or 2 S-300 missiles. So it was shot down.
Yesterday's crash.
His time was up.
Was this a Russian, in your opinion, a Russian attack, or was it something Zelensky pulled off with borrowed weapons?
No. Zelensky would not want anything to happen to Prigozhin, because Prigozhin was a player that stirred things up. And you see, the story is much larger than Prigozhin, because there are other field commanders, 2 of them, Popov and Tupolev, who are field commanders on the Ukrainian front, who have been making similar complaints that Prigozhin has. See, this thing with Prigozhin goes back 8 or 10 months. He had a media outlet there in Russia. Wagner's a big operation. We're talking 25, 30,000 people. It's huge. They have an office building in downtown St. Petersburg. He had a media outlet that was involved in the Russian Trump scam that they tried to put over. He was involved in that. And so he's used that media outlet to try to communicate with the Russian people. He's become a popular figure. That's why when this happened, Putin couldn't just have him executed immediately. He didn't want to make a martyr out of him. He had to find the right time to do it.
He waited 6 weeks. I mean, we called it back then. This is a dead man walking.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Yes, ultimately he was going to be terminated, but the time frame,
Plausible deniability.
It says something. Prigozhin, I don't like the man. He would flat out go all out to win the war against the Ukrainians. He's bad news for us. But he was exposing weakness in the Russian military. See, the Russians, they've lost basically half of their equipment and half of their soldiers. It's been very expensive for them to do what they've done. And Prigozhin actually wants to win, but he wants to go all out.
So who
Putin
killed
can't
him?
afford to do that. Oh, Putin ordered his death.
Okay, so I got another question for you. How long, when we look at this deal and we hear varied reports, we hear reports that Ukraine is making headway against Russia. We hear reports that say that Russia is now making headway against Ukraine. I find myself asking constantly this question: how long does an aging, irritated Vlad Putin go on with this game? What would stop Vlad Putin from tomorrow saying, you know what, bring all my troops out. It's a Friday. This time next Friday, I'm nuking Kyiv. Y'all can all kiss my Russian ass. What would stop him from doing it? Is it a fear of Joe Biden and retribution?
No.
Is it a Kennedy-esque moment where Biden's going to go, any attack on the Ukrainian people will be viewed as a direct attack on the United States?
Well, but Biden had already said, well, a little incursion into Ukraine, that's no big deal.
Right.
That was said way back at the beginning.
How long?
That was said back in the Obama administration. Let's be honest.
Aren't we
your
playing a
question.
game here? Aren't we ultimately playing Ukraine? It's kind of like I'm sitting here and I'm letting you punch me in the shoulder, and then I'll punch you in the shoulder, and then but I realize that in my back pocket there's a 9mm, and when I get tired of it, you're a dead man. Why doesn't Ukraine? I mean, Zelensky's out there doing push-ups and trying to look buff at 5'4", running around like Tom Cruise, jumping up and down on sofas. He thinks he's dating Kate, whatever her name is. And at the end of the day, they can't win. I know the end game. I've got the button. At some point, I'm going to get pissed, push the button, and Ukraine goes away.
He can't afford to do that.
Why? He's old. He doesn't care.
No, he's not stupid. And he has to be concerned about world opinion, and he has to be concerned about the Chinese. It was brought up last night in the debates, and I really cringed when I heard it, that, there's this unlimited alliance between Russia and China. Well, Putin has wanted, expected, desired, expressed, put into a treaty that the Chinese didn't sign, of unlimited support from the Chinese. The Chinese are not providing unlimited support. They want to distance themselves from this thing. They're willing to help their buddy next door as so far as they can profit from it. But beyond that, they do not want to be too close because it makes them look bad over in the South China Sea with Taiwan. You see, they've got to look like the good guys.
Potentially everything that they're doing in South and Central America as well.
And when they had a peace conference down in, what was it, Dubai recently, the Russians were not there. But the Chinese showed up with their agreement, and part of the agreement was that the Russians respect the territorial integrity of the Ukraine. Now, that had to make Putin's blood boil. So this idea of an unlimited relationship between two, that's just not true at all.
How do you see this playing out 2 years from now? Where are we at with Ukraine and Russia? Does Russia say, fine, keep it?
Well, it gets more complicated than that because the people in that area don't want to be part of Ukraine. They're Russians, and they want to be Russian. Yeah.
We've got a caller coming in. We're going to get you back in here. Give me some
interesting conversation.
We've got to get you back in here, Mike, but we've got a call that we had set up for this week. I want your final takes on that when we get back together. Right. Okay? Yeah. And you know what? As early as tomorrow, if you've got time.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
You see if you can work us in. So just the balance of power in the free world, whatever, if you're busy, we understand.
Thank you very much.
All right,
appreciate it.
We love you, sir. Thank you.
Take a quick break, and then we're joined on the phone by a special guest. We haven't heard from him for a while. But Allen's Wrecker Service, our go-to tow. A little bit of fog in the area this morning. If you're stranded on the side of the road, make sure that you've got Allen's number ready and handy, 361-578-6300.
The VCS companies for all your communication needs, whether you need ranch radios or body cams or whatever you need. Body cam be fun. You could be. Depends. There you go. Cheswick Furniture, 100-plus years at
116 West Juan Lynn.
Reach out to them. Veracruz today. Full menu. Post-call to Wednesday. Get in there today and enjoy all the Mexican food. We're joined now by one Miss Sarah Stogner. You'll recall Miss Stogner ran dutifully, aggressively, and I think successfully, although she wasn't elected, for railroad commissioner this last year against one Wayne Christian, Duke Dastardly Wayne Christian. And Sarah is awake. She is with us. She's a LSU girl. She's probably on, what do they drink over there? Those little Hurricane number 2. But she lives in West Texas most of the time. Where are you today, ma'am?
I am in the Permian Basin. I'm in West Texas this morning.
There's lots of holes in the ground out there, and that was one of your big issues when you were running, was the way that oil companies did or did not live up to the legislation already in place regarding how they depart from a well site. Have you seen any movement towards your goals since Wayne was reelected?
Yeah, I mean, look, part of my campaign was to raise awareness, right? I'm not a politician. I never had political aspirations. I'm just an oil and gas attorney who moved to a cattle ranch and got frustrated with the lack of fair and enforcement. And so what we've been doing over the past couple of years is bringing awareness. And I'm hopeful that, yes, we are making a small dent, one day at a time, and we're going to keep going.
Now, it's early, so we're hoping to have an ongoing dialogue with you. We'll get to that in a minute. But you joked yesterday that you had put us on your schedule recurring on a monthly deal. And the first thing Ash asked me was, we have to see where we fall in her life. We don't want to get, at the wrong time of the month where we get like bitchy Sarah. You know what I'm saying? We want positive, upbeat.
Although that might make it easier to remember to call us.
Yeah.
I gotta call those two idiots this morning.
I'm retaining a little water. I gotta call those two idiots in Victoria. Golly. Yeah, we don't really want to fall into that part of the cycle, but we'd love to have.
But if that's all we get, we'll take it.
We'll take it. And you know what? And that's a very masculine way to look at it too. It's not ideal, but we'll take it, But we would love to have you be able to call in and talk politics with us. And I know that you, you're obviously really a very bright lady. You're smart. You're a mother. You've got real concerns. I think you're kind of, to use a sexist phrase, every man, and who happens to be more educated than most men. And we're going to bounce things off. And if you don't know, you don't know. Like what did you think of, or did you watch the debates last night?
Oh man, I did watch the debates last night.
Give us your take.
I was pleasantly surprised by Nikki Haley. I was a little bit disappointed by Vivek Ramaswamy. I've been following him for a while, and I'd say my ultimate disappointment was the fact that Will Hurd didn't get a place on the debate stage. So, Will's from Texas, and I think he's got some good ideas for they're not crazy and they're not as scandalous, and so maybe they don't get the press coverage, but I think he's actually got some decent ideas for things like securing the border and figuring out our fentanyl crisis and some other issues. So I would say in general, the GOP debate was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, it was underwhelming. I think the fact Trump wasn't there made a difference in things. My take real quick, and you're disappointed Will Hurd wasn't there. I'm kind of in that same camp with Francis Suarez, the mayor of Miami. I've heard him a few times. He's got some great ideas, but because he doesn't have enough traction. But, I mean, if you can be a conservative and get elected in Miami, you're doing something right.
True for that. I need to look into him.
But I think what I like Vivek and some of the things he says. He's the only guy that said we're done with Ukraine, which I appreciated on the stage yesterday. It was a little awkward when asked if, who would support Donald Trump if he's the last one standing. They kind of all looked around to see who was going to raise their hand, kind of like a bunch of fifth graders.
How would you not? How would you not say at the end of the day, one thing, Sarah, that Ash and I say here all the time is right, wrong, or indifferent, the Dems are united. They will all get together behind whoever their selected idiot is, and they will follow that person like a sheep. Why is it that Republicans are like, if you don't select me, screw all y'all? That's kind of the way the Republicans come off. You've got to say, look, I'm here for a healthy debate. I hope that my ideas resonate with the American people. I hope that if we aren't in the same campaign and I have a good idea, I hope you embrace it for the betterment of the country. Whoever is selected is who I'm going to support. Why does that? How could that make you look weak or intimidable? I think you just say, I mean, I know you don't want to say party over country, but party over Biden is pretty simple to me.
Anybody but Joe. But I thought Vivek looked a little bit too much like the politician he's trying to come off as not being.
Yeah.
In yesterday's debate.
I read an article this morning, I think it was in The Atlantic, that compared it to like the smarmy senior class president guy that's just trying a little too hard.
Right.
And look, I think he's got some interesting ideas, but at the end of the day, right, like none of them are super impressive, and that's what's so depressing to me. And I wish that more people, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that, and in the end, they end up not being politically involved. Well, just because our presidential candidates aren't that impressive doesn't mean that people shouldn't be politically involved, right? I think something like 43% of Texas elections went unopposed in 2022. So 43% of candidates weren't challenged. That's not a democracy. That's not a healthy debate, right? That's not balance. That's one side and that's one party, and that's not good for anybody. So I think we need to get more people involved, ordinary people involved, not at the presidential level, but county commissioner level and school boards. And right, that's where we're going to see a change.
We've seen a resurgence here in the Victoria area. This year we had two
school board incumbents.
It's so weird to say it. Openly conservative people joined our school board. It's just very odd that, when I was a kid, and I'm older than both you and Ash, but when I was a kid, you had Democrats and you had Republicans. They both believed in a balanced budget. They both believed in things like, pro-life. They both believed in, it was okay to have the 10 Commandments at the courthouse. They just didn't agree necessarily on how you benefited people.
Right.
The Dems wanted to do it by throwing money at the problem, and the Republicans wanted to do it by throwing opportunity at the problem. But now the gap, the abyss is so large that I mean, you read it every day. Well, why? Nobody should have student debt. The government ought to just, the government. The government is us. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but are you feeling lots of pressure and interest to run again? Or for something else?
Well, I'd say most people don't want me to get involved in anything other than oil and gas. They see how vocal I am on oil and gas and think, well, maybe you should just stick to that, Stogner. But I am planning to run again. I just don't know how I'm going to run. Right?
Well, you just came up with your campaign slogan: "Stick to that, Stogner."
That's right.
There it is on all your signs.
Right. I like it.
But I think that again, the media thrives on polarizing people, right? And they thrive on angering people or making people laugh.
Well,
and those are what really can get things going viral and content being shared. And so, although today you would think that people are more divided than ever, I think when we have conversations with friends and family that don't agree with us politically, you still, at the end of the day, people want clean drinking water. People want, their kids to have a good education, and we want financial prosperity in the future. And so how do you get back to, okay, let's actually make some, and I hate to use the word progress, right? But let's actually move forward. Let's actually work together to get some things done. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. So let's stop electing the same people and expecting different results.
Well, one thing I noticed yesterday, everybody up on that dais appeared to be in favor of abolishing the Department of Ed. Nobody really gave a plan on how they would do it, and I just don't think it's possible, to be honest. There's no way you're going to get enough support in Congress or the Senate to abolish it, and there'll be enough opposition to just cut funding to something else that you deem a priority in order to stop you from dismantling the Department of Ed. And that's the thing that troubled me with the debate yesterday, and troubles me with most debates. It's all a bunch of fluff and rhetoric, and there's no how I'm going to do it or even
Right.
why I'm going to do it. It's just I'm going to do it. And the reality is, no, you're not, because the system's not going to let you, which is part of the problem in a way. But that's what troubled me yesterday, and then they still don't answer the question. They had the 30-second lightning round, and Asa Hutchinson goes, on education, I'm going to do this. Wasn't the question, Asa? That's why you're old and you shouldn't be up there.
I mean, we also, let's not kid ourselves. Arkansas is not the pillar of educational excellence that we should all be striving
He doesn't really want to talk about education.
They don't even, 51% of that state doesn't even have high-speed internet. People have to go to Little Rock to actually do any real work, or down into Dallas if they need. I was reading a story yesterday of a guy who does a lot of digital creation and stuff. He can't do it in Arkansas. He has to drive to Dallas to his office there because they don't have capable internet for him to do what he needs to do. I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, time for him to get Starlink. It's been a lifesaver out here, I'll tell you that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, we've got.
Boy, it'd be a lifesaver
Victoria
in Victoria.
is a Suddenlink town, and
It's Optimum now.
I've had to learn to read lips in order to watch TV.
Basically, what happened here is they stopped calling it poop, and it's now turd.
Right.
That's still terrible.
Exactly what's happened. Yeah, you wonder when you watch these guys, and I think I have become cynical, which, by the way, I think cynicism is a really good thing when you're looking at politics and politicians. Question everything, right? And so I'm watching these folks, and I listen to them talk, and like Ash said yesterday, well, Chris Christie just comes off to me as kind of a thug. Well, he's just a Jersey thug. He's a bully. He's a big fat buffoon who says, I'm going to close the beach, and then he and his family go. Hey, nobody's there. Let's go. That's who he is. And you're just like, dude, mixing a salad, and let's move forward. I don't know where we go except to say I do believe that the way things are shaping up right now, that Joe Biden's going to get reelected. I really believe that they're going to reelect that idiot.
Ugh,
right?
I hope not.
Yeah. Let me ask you yesterday, because I think it's
ask her today,
or let me ask you today about yesterday. But real quick, let's run down the 8 that were on the stage. And you already mentioned that you thought Will Hurd deserved to be on there, and I felt the same about
and so
Suarez, and they
Texans.
didn't. But Asa Hutchinson.
Yeah. I think there was a tweet that really summed it up well. It was like, there's two old white guys, one from Arkansas that gives me the creeps, and one from I can't where's
Indiana?
the other guy from, the Bakken. Is it North Dakota?
Oh, Burgum. I actually thought he did well yesterday.
Yeah, he was like, so Asia gives me the creeps, and Burgum seems like an okay guy, right? But neither of them are super impressive.
Burgum kind of reminded me of Eugene Levy a little bit. But let's get a quick let me get your quick thought on yesterday on all the candidates. Let's start with Asa Hutchinson.
Yeah, no, weird.
Yeah, his time has passed.
One word answer is perfectly,
absolutely good.
Perfectly good.
Chris Christie.
Fat.
Slob. Like, like I said, he looks hungry. Like, seriously, it's just like this, like Jabba. What's the guy from Star Wars?
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. It's like Wookiee. He's a Wookiee. It's like having a fat coach. It's like, you do a push-up.
Yeah, right.
Mike Pence. My word for Mike Pence is beige. If he were a color, he'd be beige.
Oh, I think actually, Mike Pence getting a little bit angry was a little bit fascinating to me.
I swear, I thought she was going to say it was sexy. It was going to really upset me.
Oh, gross. No. I just think his like Christian nationalism, he probably likes to get pegged or something, honestly. Like, that's the vibe he gets.
What
off.
I don't like about Mike Pence is that I still call him Governor Pence. What I don't like about him is anything unemployment numbers. Well, when we were in office in our administration, unemployment was down across all demographics. Everybody was employed. Everybody was making more money. And then anything where he gets – so if it suits him – it's me and Donald, me and Donald. And if it's like, well, weren't you the VP for Donald Trump? Not by choice. I didn't want to be.
I was innocent on January 6th.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah. I supported him fully until it violated my code to the Constitution. Okay. So I think he's wishy-washy, opportunistic, and a little bit of a wuss.
Ron DeSantis. Yep. What do you think of him yesterday?
A robot. It was like he had his script, and he's like, oh, remember to smile, and then remember to turn this way. It was weird.
But my wife looked at him and like, oh, he's wearing, his suit doesn't fit him. She's right. I looked at him like, yeah, it kind of looked like he pulled off the rack at the Men's Warehouse.
If you put round glasses on him, he is Rick Moranis from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's who he is.
But his ears speak. If he had a gap in his teeth, he'd be Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine.
He worry? We're from Florida.
Yeah, a little bit with the teeth. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Juvenile. He seemed immature, and I liked him before.
Yeah.
But I think things like saying that climate change isn't real, saying that he'd pardon Trump right out the bat, like those are things that, if you're trying to appeal to voters who are tired of the circus, I think that his foreign policy experience seems a little bit lacking. So I just think, unfortunately, he came off a little bit immature.
So he tried to kind of come into the race as an outsider, a guy who doesn't need any money. He's a billionaire. He's a nice man. All these things, and now you're saying he's kind of coming off as a politician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so which is worse than just being a politician up front.
Well, I think part of the issue with Vivek is leading up to this. The media was like, well, his age, because he's 38, right? He's barely past. He's barely legal.
Right, he's younger than me.
Yeah, but he's the political equivalent of an inexperienced driver. Right, because he's 3 years past the age of being able to qualify to run for president. But I think that might have played into it a little bit. It's obviously he hired some people to coach him yesterday, and I think that hurt him. I think he should have come across as the Vivek Ramaswamy that we've all seen up until this point. And like you said, now he just comes across like the rest of them.
He rides it out. He maybe is among the last 4 or 5 standing.
Well, he's got a month till the next one. So.
Yeah, he gets a cabinet position or something, and then he runs again at 42.
Yeah. Nikki Haley, what do you think of Nikki yesterday?
She was my pleasant surprise. So, she'd been really disappointing to me in the past on some of her stuff, but I think she handled the abortion question really well. I think I was pleasantly surprised by her.
Ash is kind of the serious side of this program, and I'm the sophomore-ish. It's easy for me to play the immature role. It's a role I play, but I play it
Comes so naturally.
24/7. What I found interesting is the flipping of our roles. When I said, "Well, what did you think of Nikki Haley?" She's got a wandering eye, dude. She's got a wandering. Like, I couldn't tell where she was looking. I'm like, Ash, what does it have to? Why is it with the guys? We talk about their policy and all that. And then with the girls,
Chris Christie
she's
was
got
a
a
fat
wandering eye.
slob. Asa Hutchinson was old and out of touch.
Yeah, okay.
DeSantis' suit didn't fit him.
Rivik has too many vowels in his name.
Nikki Haley's left eye was looking left the whole
maybe
time.
she
It
was
a little
reading
weird.
something.
But I thought she kind of got back to the Nikki Haley we'd all seen and sort of liked when she was at the UN yesterday.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean, I've never been impressed with her. I feel like she's never really telling us what she thinks. That she's always holding back a little bit because trying to be politically correct. And I think there were glimpses last night of her personality coming through, if that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
I trust her more now, I guess, is the I think she's willing to say things that aren't necessarily popular because she agrees with them. I respect that.
To you, is she a potential VP candidate? I don't look for her to really to get the the nomination. Right. Could it be DeSantis Haley?
Oh, I think it's more likely to be Trump Haley.
Okay. And is it a foregone conclusion that Biden is going to keep Kamala? I know she announced that she's running for VP again, but it's kind of hard to run unless you're selected by the big guy. I wouldn't be surprised to see Biden take Jill.
I think that'll be interesting because you don't ever, especially as a woman, right? You don't ever just want to be the token.
Right. But
that's all she was. She checked every box that the Dems like to check.
Oh, for sure. Getting 2% of the vote.
But here's the thing: the Dems have the ability to look long term in these things, and Republicans don't necessarily do that. I don't know if the Dems are continuing to look long term, that they think that in 4 more years, if reelected, there's not a chance that the lineage to the presidency continues with Kamala Harris kind of ascending to the throne as the Dems like to do. There's no chance.
No, she's not.
So I don't know if they're looking longer term play if they get rid of her this time around somehow. Maybe a plane crash over Russia somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding. We called that, by the way. I know it's a big deal, but what was that guy's name?
Prigozhin.
Yeah, we called that.
2 more for you. Dead. Tim Scott yesterday. What'd you think of him? I don't know that he got as much opportunity really to shine as some of the others.
No, and I wish he would have been a little bit more aggressive in speaking up, right? I don't know if that's the Southern thing of speaking slower. And
he's from South Carolina.
Right, but it's like, dude, you got to speak up a little bit. And the tone of, Vivek was really good at interrupting people and speaking up and getting his say in. And I wish he would have done that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if life could be like living in a small town, the world would be a better place. But, that's like sparkles and rainbows are nice too, right? So
how's your unicorn out there in West Texas?
We're living the dream. No, I mean, we're doing the impossible, right? Like I'm all for thinking outside the box and coming up with some innovative solutions to things, but we've got to be intellectually honest and have a check of reality. So
we're joined by Sarah Stogner, for those of you just tuning in. I appreciate her time this morning, and we just kind of ran through our first impressions of the debate. What do you make of Fox News telling everybody, all the other media outlets, you've got 3 minutes total of any content from our debate yesterday, and that's it? To me, it's antithesis to what media should be in encouraging dialogue and freedom of expression.
Share all you want. Just give us credit.
For something like this is absolutely, and I think it shows where Fox is heading, but I think they're trying to stifle discussion and ideas on the right.
Oh, for sure. And I think that they've been part of the problem. You know, I say during my candidacy, all the news outlets were fair to me except for Fox News.
Is that right?
Ironically enough, they're the only ones that publish something without asking me for comment, you know, and giving me a meaningful chance to respond. And so, but I think the one good thing that's really positive that I took away is actually from Rumble. So I hadn't used it, and I downloaded it yesterday just to watch the debates on my smart TV, and watched the debates on the app, and was pleasantly surprised with the new media that I discovered actually waiting for the debate to start. And so I think that our only hope is getting away from the non-traditional media and the legacy media and having more people paying attention and listening and participating. And I think that social media and this next generation of reporters, you know, can they spread disinformation? Yes. Is there an opportunity there? For sure. But there's also an opportunity there for them to dive deeper into issues and devote more time to things like energy policy that are complicated, right? And there are no simple solutions. And so how do you have people don't have the time or the attention span to dedicate to digging deep into these issues, and you need a place where people can go and actually get good information. So I am hopeful that the future is better for politics because they'll have an education and an ability to learn.
You know what's interesting with that is the traditional media wants 30-second sound bites of everything, and that's really it. But when you look, people are actually spending time on the internet, and there's a lot of great independent reporters out there who really get into issues, and I appreciate them and what they do. They don't get any traction, but they're very popular and have millions of, hundreds of thousands or millions of followers on the social media platforms, and they're doing what media used to do. When news channels used to do, a 5-part week-long series on an issue, and they'd be an hour long each episode, and people used to tune in. They've stopped tuning in on TV, but they're starting to devote that time on their phones and their tablets. It's interesting. They're just kind of moving it over there because that thing's always in their hands.
Yep.
We reported on a thing last week, and I forgot what it's called. It's it is backed by the government, and it's also a for-profit where, when we were kids, you had not when you were a kid, but Walter Cronkite, Pat Summerall, Peter Jennings. Pat Summerall? That's football.
That's football. Close
Still,
enough.
but that great uncle, that wise old sage that you knew that when Walter Cronkite said, and that's the way it was today, you knew that he was telling you the truth. The credibility of the Main Street media was never challenged. Everybody believed that Tom Brokaw was telling you the truth about the greatest generation. But as you move forward now, I don't think I don't have any hard numbers, but consumer confidence among listeners that the media is giving you the truth is at an all-time low. I have no doubt that we all believe that CNN is propaganda and Fox is closer to the truth, or vice versa. And you have these independent folks, and now the government's backing a company that will come out and they will assign like a reliability rating to you. So, like, they would come and listen to Wade and Carter and say, these guys are all over the place. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're 6. So that when you bring up that
take
source,
a 6. That's
I would
high.
take a 6.
I think we're more like a 4. But
many, many times you settled for less than a 6. But if you could bring up, boy, your wife did. If you could bring up a news source and they go, this is Rogan. Oh, he's an 8. Man, he's pretty reliable, But anyway, it's interesting to me that the government is rating these news sources. So let's just say you're spewing nothing but the truth. You and I are having a conversation. You're talking to me firsthand about what you know about Wayne Christensen and what you know about, abandoned oil sites in West Texas, and you live there, and they're on your property, and they come up and say, Wade and Carter's a 3. Then all of a sudden, Sarah Stogner gets labeled an idiot. And the next thing you know, people don't come on our program. And that's how the government stifles dissenting information. It's coming, So I don't know how do you find a reliable voice because the guy's confident, because you feel like he's telling you the truth? I mean, Ash and I have had literally a dozen things in the last 3 or 4 years where we just said, we're going to keep following this story, and what you heard on the news is a complete fabrication. And at least a dozen times it's come true that people have sent me notes, you're a conspiracy buff. And I'm like, there ain't no way that woman in Alabama was driving along and saw a baby, and it's all bull. And, of course, it was all bull. But at the time, it was like, y'all are sexist, and she just cared about the child. And I'm like, no, you're an idiot. You believe that garbage. So we find ourselves wondering, I mean, who do you go to for news? Now, you said Rumble now, maybe a good spot to start. I'll try it.
Oh, well, I mean, look, I don't know that they have the most accurate information, right? It was just a new, I thought it was interesting because you've got all these podcast guys and different, that have 50 to 100,000 listeners frequently that have a voice there, right? And so I try to not have any one source, and I try to get it directly from the people involved, not through third parties. So I kind of avoid traditional media most of the time.
Well, I just scanned Rumble on my phone, and they are reporting today that there's some trouble in your relationship with Coach Ogeron. Would you like to comment? Is it better or worse than it was yesterday?
Oh, man. No comment.
Right? I love that guy. LSU says, we're going to fire you. And he goes, let me get this straight. You're going to be $18 million, and you ask me to leave? Give me the check and show me the dough. I love that guy.
Go Tigers.
And he's like, hey, go Tigers.
Hey, we can still be proud of our national championship baseball team.
Well, I tell you what, and they are good,
they are
and it's a beautiful thing. So the two guys, Cruz and what was the other guy's name?
Are they already up in the show?
They're already playing in the big. I'm basically playing in the big leagues. They were brought in, really, really cool. And the portal, the ability for players to move without penalty in today's NCAA really changes everything.
Well, you know what? In theory, because the numbers, and I listen to Charlie Baker at NACDA talk about this, the reality of those that enter the portal, it's less than 10% that move on, and those that enter the portal don't go back to their schools. They're left in limbo. They have nowhere to go. It's crazy, but that just shows you how many people are coming in behind them to fill that void when 90% of the thousands of kids that enter the portal don't go anywhere and they can't go back to play where they were.
Sarah, we have a listener here that pointed out a gentleman that we've had on our program. We've had him on here live, Bobby Eberly. And where's he at? San Antonio?
Houston area.
Houston area. Anyway, he's a really interesting young guy and a
former race car driver,
and which gives him instant media credibility. But he's a really he's in the number 24 DuPont Chevy Monte Carlo. He is a really interesting cat and a conservative guy who we think kind of gives you the straight skinny. Eberle.
And he does the 13-minute news hour. I think it's on Newsmax.
Cool, I'll check it out.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. We appreciate your time. We've got to run because we got a big cancer awareness event coming up, and we've got a guest coming on to talk about that. But we really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to having these conversations more frequently because your insight is spot on.
Can we reserve the right to just get you on the air and just basically ask you about anything? Not that you're shy about anything.
Ask me anything. I'll call y'all in a couple more weeks.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Hey,
Appreciate
be
it.
well, Sarah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
That's awesome. That was Sarah Stogner, former is not the right word.
She was a candidate for railroad commissioner, didn't win, but she's
super
not.
Nice
lady. It's not keeping her down. She's and she's very astute, oil and gas attorney. And maybe next time when she's going to call, we'll focus a little bit on that and see what's going on. But let's take a break because we got to talk about a very big. Palace Bingo. Won't be the third Thursday. It'll be, I think, Tuesday. Next Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, we'll be at Palace Bingo.
The William Shatner Bingo is live in studio right now. Bob Constantine. If you don't get there early, he's like, I got 27 computers.
If you don't get there before Bob, you won't have a computer to play.
Oh, it's just like
he commandeers them all.
And he's like, give me the right side of the menu. Just bring it out when you have time.
And all those pull tabs, they're mine.
All the pull tabs.
Don't even think about them.
One day, Bob Constantine spent $1,800 to win $1,200 in pull tabs. But by golly, he had them all. And it gave him something to do. Just kept pulling them.
Oh, Fit in with his attention span, right?
Absolutely.
You can't wait for a game of bingo to be completed.
Palace bingo. I'll tell you what, it is where friends meet friends.
And it's a lot of fun. We do.
And they are so supportive. I don't care how you feel about bingo or anything else. The way that these folks, I do care how you feel. That's a bad statement to make. That's like, let me tell you the truth. What, you've been lying to me for 10 years?
You don't have to like bingo to come and have a good
That's
time
what
with
I'm
us at
trying
Palace
to say.
Bingo.
Bingo is fun, and the charities that are benefited are fantastic. Do you want to? I'm going to do this. I'll take over the break.
All right.
You go move the camera, and I'll continue to tell you folks. Gray Barn Mercantile. I drove by yesterday. The new sign is up. You can't miss it. It's gray, and it says Gray Barn Mercantile on it. It's almost like it was meant to be. Go by and check out Cheryl and all the great accoutrements. That's my French for your home. Gray Barn Design, Gray Barn Mercantile. Cheryl can decorate your life. Atzenhofer since 1926. Atzenhofer is Victoria's dealership. Reach out to the great folks there and understand that whether you want a new Chevy pickup, a Mazda, a Mitsubishi, they have some really, Mazda's got a really, something 90.
CX-90.
It is a sharp-looking little SUV. I mean, I really recommend you get, but it's not even an SUV. It's like a crossover.
Crossover, and it's not so little. I think it does have third-row seating.
Yeah, get by and check it out at atzenhofer.com. And there's never any pressure. They were there yesterday. They're going to be there tomorrow. Buy it or don't. You know, they got things to do. Go by and see them. AJ's Detailing. I went by AJ Villanueva's place yesterday. He's got Bentleys. He's got Chevys. He doesn't care. His job is in the details. That's why it's not called AJ's Car Wash. It's AJ's Detailing. Go by and let him detail your vehicle. Armor Air 579-0966. Brother Gary would call. That's all I can do is give you the Brother Gary endorsement. He would call.
He would call him.
Armor Air 579-0966 if his AC went
He's
out.
never home long enough to know if his AC's working or not.
Brother Gary comes home and the cat says, "You sleep in the litter box. It's my house." It's unbelievable. Brother Gary just puts his head down.
Well, you can't sleep and not get creases in that shirt, so he just sleeps hanging upside down, like
puts his head down
vampire.
on that little crusty donut there in that litter box. He goes home, empties the litter box, puts out some more Lucky Charms, and leaves. That's what he does.
That's all he does. The chopping block, folks. Stop by the chopping block. They've had some real bad luck that really was not of their own doing. They've been broken into. They've had power.
Got struck by lightning.
Yeah, they got struck by lightning. They've had some power outages that weren't any of their doing.
Apparently, God likes chicken. I don't know, but
don't like
beef.
rate,
they have got the beef. Go by and see what makes Wendy's envious. Go to the chopping block today. They're still, what they're really sharing with you is the stuff that's in their coolers and cases is all fresh. They can't keep things because they've had some challenges with storage, and they're saying, hey, don't be upset because our cooler is not completely full, but know that what's here is ideal for you and your family.
Yeah.
Go by the chopping block today. White Trash Services, 550-1826. BJ and Scott Nelson and Carl will help you with all your dumpster trash pickup needs, demolition, site grading, whatever you need done. USA Concrete Coating.
578-HOME. Give them a call for all your concrete needs. You've got a slab. You've got a patio that you want to. You've spent the summer outside because it's been hot in the pool, and your patio around the pool just isn't where you want it.
They can spruce it up.
They will fix that up for you next pool season. It'll be awesome.
Make your cool deck cringe.
Although down here, I don't know, the way this summer is going, we may not have anything but
there
pool
will never
season.
be another winter. That's it. It's over. Climate change has changed our lives forever. We now live in Phoenix. Went Services went for everything you need. Plumbing, generators, electrical, fat kids, skinny kids, kids that climb on rocks, tough kids, sissy kids, even kids with chicken pox need Went.
There you go.
Went
Well done.
Services.
Well done.
The contractor that you love. Hey. I'll be doing a wedding this weekend.
Both those guys are in double-A ball, according to Jonathan Williams. From
Tell you
LSU,
what, though, they're both the Cruz kid
Cruz
was a
Skeens?
first rounder
Skeens?
last year, and he stayed to enhance his draftability, and it certainly will pay off for him. He is a player, so very excited to see him.
Well, don't forget, we got Alex Bregman from LSU as well, right?
Oh yeah,
a lot of good lineage.
Yeah.
Quick Astros update brought to you by the First State Bank of Louise.
I think
Friendless little bank anywhere. They lose yesterday 7-5 in extra innings.
Rangers were off, I think.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to, I think, take the lead, didn't we?
So
Or
we're
get
a game
within
and
half a game.
We're right now we're a game back.
And the Mariners lost yesterday, I believe.
There you go. Brother Gary's got some trivia for us in a minute.
I think we had a chance to get to within a half a game if we would have won yesterday, right?
Sheriff Louderback, good morning, sir. Mr. Hartman, always good to see you.
But afternoon game today to finish up that 4-game set with the Bo Sox.
Man, I was going to
Minute
work
Maid.
today, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, now
This
you
was
now
the
you got a
day.
reason to call in sick.
this was the day that I was going to put in a quick 40. 40 minutes, I was going to put it down.
Nobody stretches an 8-hour workday into 4 hours like you do.
No, the internet. I tell people all the time, I'm still working the same amount that I was. I'm just getting it all done in like 37 minutes because of the internet. I didn't have a laptop when I started.
That's true.
I will tell you, though, that the First State Bank of Louise has got laptops, tabletops, all kinds of tops. They will give away stuff to get you to join their bank. Free checking, free savings. Go in, open an account. Free backpack. Kids are back to school. Maybe mom needs a backpack. We use a backpack when we travel now. I use that instead. That's my carry-on
As you
as a
carry
backpack.
on. Yeah, it's so much easier to carry.
Absolutely. Well, especially when I've got to carry my backpack, Dawn's carry-on. You know, it's tough.
You're just a pack mule.
Trigger. All right, we're going to be joined by our friend, our buddy, the man in black. I thought it was Johnny Cash, but it's actually Bob Constantine. Bob, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, you guys.
First of all, on behalf of all of our listeners and all of your friends through our program, want to tell you that we're all encouraged about your health improving and that we know you went through a rough patch there. The booze, the drugs, the women, they caught up with you.
It's the bingo.
The bingo, yeah.
Yeah, Bob's the only guy that gets, they're like, everybody gets 2 free beers except Bob. He gets whatever he wants. You know, I'm telling you, they just roll a cooler out there and go.
Woodstock was a rough 40 years on him.
Right. Yeah. Him,
Started young.
me, Stills, Nash, Young.
Absolutely.
How are you, sir? I know you're here for a very serious event, but it's become a very fun and cherished event here in the community.
This is a lot of fun. Brother Gary has helped me out so much over the years. Project Tickle Pink this year, we're going to go ahead and put a big twist to it. And what we're doing,
What else can you do? It's got an open bar.
Hey, what can we say? It's going to be
got
a bottle of
good
wine
food.
there. I know that.
Right.
But we're going to go ahead and we're having casino night. So we want people to have 3 hours of fun while they're there. We're going to have a nice dinner.
You're still making the presentations.
Yes, the presentations.
It's
are
just
gonna be
such a
there.
wonderful time. It's right there, Brother Gary. I know you're here with us. We just summoned Brother Gary from the heavens. It's just a voice that comes down from above. But I liken it to the emotional side
Yes.
of the
Warriors
Warriors Weekend
That's
muster
right.
event.
It's-
It's always light and it's always fun and it's always rewarding. And at the same time, it's
touches
very
you.
emotional.
It
Yes,
touches
sir.
you, and it's been a great event. 11 years, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Doing it for 11 years, and this man is tireless with this event.
It's
He loves
aged him
it.
47 years.
It has
yes.
aged him, I'm sure.
He started when he was 17. He's now 74 years
Man
old.
in black.
Right?
No, it's a wonderful day because we get to honor people in the community who are battling cancer, and basically what we do a complete makeover on the people. Make sure they have fun all day long, that their mind goes on something else other than their cancer.
That's awesome.
Is that
And they're with each other. They're with, one thing about having cancer or anything, it's amazing to me, and I know you've had numerous friends that have had cancer. It's amazing to me how I don't know anything about my.
No,
There you
we're
go.
good. I just
Okay.
sorry.
Let's quit touching things. You're either touching me inappropriately.
I hadn't seen what that one did before.
So you pushed it, and I went, and it was right in the middle. I was about to.
I know.
In the arms of an
Just keep
angel.
going through. It was a test, and you failed.
I was about to tear up. No, but you don't think about how quickly people all of a sudden, oh, my counts are good, and they know what each count is and what each count does, and you're pushing buttons again.
That was my button.
Well,
That's
your
weird.
button,
Yeah.
just stop.
I am now.
Sounds like it's like what Dawn tells
I just
me.
found a new
I'm
button.
like, Dawn, I'm trying to push your button. She's like, just stop. It's not doing anything for me. I don't know of any event locally that brings more attention in a positive way and allows folks going through a lot to spend time together.
Yes, sir.
Everybody in the crowd knows
right.
somebody touched by cancer. Many of the people in the crowd are friends and family of the folks that are being honored. And I don't know of any event in our community that's more targeted at its purpose than Project Tickle Pink?
Thank you. Is it, it all started, I tell people it was a God thing starting, okay? And it's remained a God thing for me. We make sure that we go ahead and have the people have a good time that day.
Yes, sir.
They forget their problems. In the interim, that evening, the money that we do collect and we do raise that evening, we give it all to the Pink Fire Trucks, which is the Crossroads Guardians of Hope, which in turn turns all that money back to our community, okay? It's wonderful. People need assistance. If somebody can't pay for their medicines, they pay
They
for
help.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bob.
absolutely.
Yeah, it all stays locally.
Stays local.
And it all helps people with the things that you don't think about associated with the battle of cancer, right?
Absolutely.
Travel to and from MD Anderson, the gas,
yes, sir.
hotels, those things.
Well, and
Adds up real quick.
everybody knows they've seen around the Pink Fire Truck. Brother Gary, I know you've been around that
been
event
in
a
it.
lot.
So give
Been
us the
in it a
details
bunch.
on the event, Bob. When is it?
Okay.
How can people get involved? Because we've talked a lot about what it is, but when is it? Where is it?
Okay, the first thing it is October 13th of this year, and it's going to be from 5:30 till 10:30 at night at Club Westerner here in Victoria. We do
Great
have
venue.
We do have tables right now for table sponsors, and they run anywhere from 2,000, 1,600, and then you got general seating. And it depends what sponsorship you take. Is we give you extra play money. The silver tables, gold tables will be served at dinner at the tables. The wine is always free there.
So wait, the more you donate, the better time you're going to have.
And the more
Imagine
play
that.
money I'm going to give you.
Get it?
And they like that stuff. Over
Oh,
Absolutely.
man, that's awesome.
That's a
And we
Friday
have
night, too.
Friday nights. Friday
and then
night.
we have so many sponsors in the community. Just wonderful, wonderful businesses that have come together. And last time we did this, we had 173 sponsors
That's phenomenal.
of this community who gave us things to give out.
Oh,
that
it's a
night.
wonderful, yeah, if
What
you've
a
seen it,
blessing.
it's just a wonderful table. I attended a couple of years ago. Of course, I've gone every year, but I was at Spring Creek. But downtown, before Tacos and Tequila was there, the soiree,
Yes,
remember that one wall, the north wall was just covered with wonderful stuff that you could bid on, silent auction. It was a great, great time.
Jim
Your
Hartman
wife
says,
has helped
thanks,
work
Bob,
it.
for putting this on for our community.
Your wife has helped
Well,
work
Mr.
it.
Hartman,
Yeah,
and
Dawn-
Mrs. Hartman have always been great supporters
Great
of this.
supporters.
They
Dawn
really
is
have.
planning on
She's doing it.
being a hostess again this year.
We love
The only angle we've got is maybe a football game, but she's planning on being there. I want to let you know that Stephanie Conde said, "Good morning, Bob."
Good morning.
And then right afterwards, the not to be outdone stalker Lisa Poole said, "Morning, Bob."
Oh, well, good morning, Miss
So,
Lisa.
and by the way, Bob
These
is
are
so
wonderful people.
big at Palace Bingo that he does have an entourage. It's like Tony Orlando and Dawn. In fact, can you you're in black. How about tie a yellow?
Something like that.
Give us a little something.
But,
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want.
I was trying to bring my best Johnny Cash song
You're
with me
bringing
this
it.
morning.
You're
but-
bringing it. Well, we're excited. Both my mother-in-law, Marty Stockbauer, and
Yes.
my mother, Marion Carter, have both signed that Tickle Pink bus.
There you go.
And I tell you what, it's a wonderful, wonderful event. It's wonderful,
Wonderful, wonderful.
wonderful.
Hats off to this man.
Lovely
He does a
Lennon,
super
lovely
job.
Lennon sisters.
And I have to mention a couple people real quick, if I can. I have to mention Joe Anthony with Hair Dimensions.
Yes, great.
For doing the complete makeover on the women. Also, Christina Tidwell with All About the Dress, who donates all the dresses for the
I'm going to
ladies,
get
the
Joe to
women.
do a makeover for me.
Then we have Dennis and Tammy
He's
Albrecht.
not that good a
And
magician.
then the Nazareth Academy for singing to the ladies. It's such a beautiful, touching that day, and I've got to give our own company a plug too, because we supply the
Absolutely.
transportation. Texas Coast Limousine, we go ahead.
That's
and
really the
supply
finishing touch. Texas Coast Limousine, they take these ladies around everywhere they go that
All-day
day
event.
in a limousine. And you'd be amazed, folks, how many people, Ash, of course, he has a limo that brings him right to the door for the show every day. I drive a Ford pickup. Ash shows up in a Texas Coast Limousine every day. Ciggy in one hand, cocktail in the other. He's
That's
ready
him.
to go to work.
It's not always
A lot of
cocktail.
folks haven't had that experience, and there's nothing that you can do. If you're going to take your wife out for a movie, that's great. You want to make it a memorable event? Give a quick call to Texas Coast Limousine and let Bob send a guy over to pick you up. Hey, honey, Oh, we're Ubering? Oh, no, we're limoing. That changes
It's the
everything.
other four-letter word.
It changes everything.
Absolutely.
So-
But if you want a table, please give us a call at area code 361-550-9811 or stop by Texas Coast Limousine. We'll be more than happy to go ahead and take your reservations for the tables.
550-9811.
Yes.
We could probably make an acronym out of that or something.
Probably. If it helps if I type
Ash
it
just
right.
put 9814, but don't worry
But
about
it
it.
hasn't been
Those
published
people
yet.
are going to be hot. Well, we appreciate you
We
coming by. We
appreciate y'all.
appreciate
Thank
all you
you.
do. Now, I've heard rumors that this is the swan song event for you as leadership. Tell us who's going to take the helm and what we're going to do.
We're not going on to say who it is yet.
Oh,
okay.
it's
Still
no
in the
baby.
process. It's in the process.
It's in the process, and I don't want to put it out there yet.
Ted Nugent.
But this will be my last year to go ahead and ramrod the Project Tickled Pink. I founded this thing in 2012, and I think it's time to give it to somebody with younger blood.
That's awesome.
They're a lot of work. They take
It is
a
a lot
lot.
of
They
work.
are.
It is a lot of
yeah.
work.
It's a lot of work.
You know, you have to have a lot of contacts in this community, and that's what I looked for. That's what I think we have coming with us, and we hope that this person is on board with us.
Fantastic.
That,
Well,
so
I'm
we'll-
excited. We will be
We'll all
there.
be there.
Yes, sir. We
and
will
hopefully
be there.
We'll announce it that night.
Absolutely. Oh,
550-9811 Casino Night at Club Westerner. If you want to get involved on October 13th, just give Bob a call at
the
550-9811.
negotiations are ongoing.
They are.
Ezekiel Elliott, new head,
Tom Cruise.
Project Tickle Pink.
Thank you all very
Hey,
much.
thank
Thank
you,
you, Bob.
Bob. Thank you for all
Appreciate
you
it.
do.
Guys, we appreciate it.
Brother Gary, stay right there
Brother
because
man,
we
you
got to
don't
know
get
what's
to leave.
you don't get to
You're
know.
under
Maybe we'll come
contract.
tomorrow.
You know
No.
what's going on.
Well,
it is 8 o'clock. You've got to go be on another
That's
program.
what I say. Why don't we just, if you have a little time tomorrow, we'll do it. Y'all have done your. That's the one we wanted to
I tell you what,
take care of.
Bob does a great job, and I really
That's
am
the one.
excited to have you. Are you
Brother
gonna-
man just
MC.
pulling his executive producer card for
Sure,
our
he
show and
just said,
telling
"No,
us
I'm-
tomorrow
yeah,
we're
he's like
done.
this, I'm out."
I'm out of here.
It's over.
Yeah.
We want to keep him happy too over there.
Oh, he's going
Okay.
over there now?
yeah, we're,
All right.
we're taking Bob over there.
Okay.
Hey, folks,
Thank
we
you,
love you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great day. I mean that sincerely. Special thanks to Sarah Stogner for giving us a call. Mike Atkinson for coming this morning. What a fun-filled hour. Lots and lots of info. Project Tickle Pink is a winner.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around.